Chosen one. The sinister truth that's been buried under years of lies is exploding into the light right now. Everyone, and I mean everyone, and it's about to destroy the person who has been destroying you. Every single lie they told about you, every manipulation they used to turn your family against you, every dollar they stole from what was rightfully yours, it's all coming to light. And the repercussions, they're not just big, they're catastrophic. We're talking federal prison time. We're talking complete financial ruin. We're talking about their entire world crashing down while you rise up to claim what was always meant to be yours. The universe has been keeping score, and payback is here. After years of careful deception, the perpetrator made one critical mistake. They got comfortable. They got sloppy. They forgot that lies require perfect memory, and criminals always leave traces. It started small. A neighbor who noticed something odd, a family friend who heard an inconsistent story, a piece of paperwork that didn't quite match what they'd been told. But here's the thing about truth. It's like water finding cracks in a dam. Once it starts seeping through, the whole structure is doomed. That first crack is about to become a catastrophic flood that destroys everything they built on stolen ground. There was a funeral, chosen one, a heartbreaking day when someone who meant everything to your family passed away. You were there, probably younger, showing the kindness and grace that's always defined your character. You comforted others, helped where you could, and honored the person who loved you deeply. But someone else was there too, watching you with calculating eyes. They saw how much the deceased adored you. They witnessed your genuine grief and authentic love. And in that moment of your vulnerability, they realized you posed a threat to their master plan. What you didn't know is that others were watching too. A family friend who noticed how you were being observed. A neighbor who saw the predator sizing up their prey. A longtime companion of the deceased who witnessed the calculating looks being exchanged between certain family members. These observers didn't understand what they were seeing at the time, but they remembered. They filed away mental notes about strange behavior, odd conversations, and the sudden shift in how certain people began talking about you after that day. That person who died had left you something substantial, something that could change your entire life. The Watcher decided they wanted it instead, which meant they had to destroy you first. What they set in motion that day was about to become the most elaborate family deception anyone had ever attempted. The deceased didn't just leave you money, they left you wealth. We're talking about property worth millions, business interests, investment portfolios, and assets that could have secured your future for generations. This wasn't a modest inheritance. This was life-changing money that would have elevated you and everyone you loved. The will was crystal clear. Your name was written in black ink, with specific instructions about how much the deceased wanted you to have and why. They had even included personal letters explaining their decision, detailing how proud they were of your character and how much they wanted to see you succeed. But you never knew it existed. While you struggled with bills, worried about your future, and went without things you needed, this massive inheritance was being systematically stolen and hidden from you. The person who took it used your own family's love and trust to pull off the perfect crime. They didn't just steal the money, they stole the documents, forged new ones, and created an entirely fabricated version of the deceased's final wishes. They convinced everyone that you were unworthy, ungrateful, even dangerous. They painted such a convincing picture of your character that family members actually helped them keep what belonged to you. The most heartbreaking part is that while you were grieving and struggling, they were celebrating their successful theft, using your money to live a lifestyle they never earned. The scale of this theft is about to shock everyone who discovers it. The family member who orchestrated this wasn't just lying, they were conducting psychological warfare. Every story they told about you was carefully crafted to isolate you from potential allies. Every family gathering you weren't invited to was planned to keep you from connecting with people who might have supported you. They studied manipulation tactics like a science. They learned how to plant seeds of doubt, how to twist innocent actions into suspicious behavior, how to make people question their own positive memories of you. They turned your own kindness against you, twisting your generous nature into evidence of ulterior motives. The mastermind created different versions of their lies for different people, tailoring each story to what would be most believable to each family member. They made your family afraid of you while positioning themselves as the protector. They created a narrative where you were the problem, the troublemaker, the one who couldn't be trusted. They orchestrated family meetings where they shared concerns about your behavior, always with just enough truth mixed in to make the lies believable. This level of manipulation requires a sociopathic mind and years of planning. They didn't just steal your money, they stole your relationships, your reputation, and your place in the family structure. Their perfect system is about to collapse because they underestimated one crucial element. There was someone watching everything unfold, a neighbor who lived close enough to see what was really happening during those final months of your loved one's life. This person witnessed the manipulation, heard the raised voices, saw the isolation tactics being used. But here's what makes this witness different from all the others. They wrote it all down. Day after day, month after month, they documented suspicious behavior, recorded overheard conversations, and tracked the pattern of abuse they were witnessing. This neighbor saw visitors coming and going at strange hours. They watched as certain family members were gradually blocked from visiting. They witnessed your loved one becoming increasingly isolated, confused, and distressed. They heard arguments through thin walls about money, property, and who could be trusted. The neighbor documented times when your loved one seemed lucid and asked about family members they hadn't seen, only to be told lies about why those people weren't visiting. They recorded instances where they saw your loved one being manipulated into signing documents while appearing confused or distressed. This neighbor knew something terrible was happening, but felt powerless to stop it. They were afraid to get involved directly, worried about overstepping boundaries or making things worse. But they kept their detailed journal, hoping that someday, somehow, the truth would matter. They were building a case without even realizing it. The journal includes dates, times, descriptions of suspicious visitors, and even photographs taken from their window of questionable activities. Every entry is time-stamped and detailed, creating an undeniable record of the abuse and manipulation that preceded the theft. That journal is now in the hands of investigators, and it's about to become the foundation that brings down the entire criminal enterprise. Hold that thought. I need your full attention. This is bigger than anything you've heard today. We're revealing everything we know about personal power, how to heal yourself, heal others, and activate your divine mission. No filters, no fluff, no holding back. Each week on Zoom, we unlock the exact techniques that took us from controlled pawns to conscious creators. We've packed it with the occult codes we've gathered through years of real spiritual warfare and transformation. This is your invitation to join the Obsidian Inner Order, not just to access forbidden knowledge, but to amplify a global frequency that awakens other chosen ones. You're not just joining a call, you're stepping into a movement that's rewriting reality itself. It's a 360-carat win for all of us. Link in description. The order awaits. Ron Rose. Recently, someone found the hidden documents. Not just any documents, the original will, the real estate deeds, the insurance policies, and the legal papers that prove exactly what was meant for you. These weren't just misfiled papers. They were deliberately hidden, stashed away where the perpetrator thought they'd never be discovered. The discovery happened by accident during a routine cleaning of the deceased's former home. Hidden behind a false back in an old desk drawer, sealed in waterproof containers, were the original legal documents that told the real story of your inheritance. When the person who found them read what was actually written there, they couldn't believe their eyes. Every signature, every date, every legal designation told a story completely different from what the family had been told. The deceased person's true intentions were preserved in black and white, waiting for this moment. But the documents revealed something even more shocking than the original theft. Alongside the legitimate papers were drafts of forged documents, practice signatures, and detailed notes about how to manipulate the legal process. The perpetrator had kept a record of their own crimes, probably thinking they were being thorough and organized. There were letters never sent, explaining to you why you were chosen as the main beneficiary. There were backup copies of legal consultations that proved the deceased was of sound mind when making their decisions. There were even recordings on old cassette tapes where your loved one explicitly stated their wishes and their reasons. This discovery didn't just expose the theft, it revealed the systematic forgery, document manipulation, and legal fraud that had been used to steal your inheritance. The perpetrator hadn't just lied to the family. They'd committed serious crimes against legal institutions, banks, and insurance companies. The person who found these documents immediately contacted authorities, setting in motion an investigation that's about to expose decades of criminal activity. The attorney who originally handled your loved one's estate has been carrying a devastating secret. They knew the truth about what was supposed to happen to the inheritance. They watched the wrong person claim it, saw the legal manipulations being used, and documented everything because they knew it was wrong. This wasn't just any lawyer. This was someone who had worked with your deceased loved one for decades. They had handled multiple legal matters, witnessed the creation of several wills over the years, and had intimate knowledge of your loved one's true wishes and intentions. Professional ethics prevented them from speaking out without proper legal proceedings, but they kept meticulous records of every meeting, every conversation, every instruction they received. They documented the pressure they received from the perpetrator to change documents. They recorded the threats they faced when they refused to participate in the fraud. The lawyer has recordings of the perpetrator trying to bribe them, attempting to convince them to destroy evidence, and even threatening their professional reputation if they didn't cooperate. These recordings prove that the perpetrator knew exactly what they were doing and were willing to commit additional crimes to cover their tracks. But the lawyer's evidence is just the beginning of what's about to surface. The weight of truth is crushing, and the first family member just cracked under the pressure. Someone who believed the lies, who supported the perpetrator, who maybe even helped execute the fraud, just couldn't live with the guilt anymore. This person had been living with the knowledge that something wasn't right for years. They participated in family meetings where lies about you were spread. They signed documents they didn't fully understand. They helped isolate you from family gatherings because they were told you were dangerous or unstable. As the evidence started surfacing, this family member began to realize they had been manipulated. They started remembering inconsistencies in the stories they were told. They began questioning why their memories of you didn't match the terrible things they were hearing about your character. The guilt became unbearable when they understood that their actions had contributed to stealing from someone who had never done anything wrong. They realized they had been used as a weapon against an innocent person, and the shame was eating them alive. This person is now talking to investigators, revealing how they were manipulated, sharing evidence they've been hiding, and exposing the network of people who were involved in keeping the truth from you. Their confession is opening floodgates that the perpetrator never saw coming. They're providing details about family meetings where strategies were discussed for keeping you away from important legal proceedings. They're revealing conversations where the perpetrator coached them on what to say if anyone asked questions about the inheritance. They're exposing the systematic campaign to destroy your reputation. Other family members are starting to realize they were played. The supporters who backed the wrong person are beginning to understand they were pawns in a criminal scheme. The unity that the mastermind worked so hard to create against you is crumbling as people discover they were manipulated. Some family members are panicking, realizing they could face legal consequences for their participation in the fraud. Others are experiencing crushing guilt as they understand how they were used to hurt someone they should have protected. A few are so ashamed they're considering leaving town rather than face the consequences of their actions. The family reconciliation that's about to happen is going to be as dramatic as the original deception. The investigation has uncovered medical records that tell a horrifying story about your loved one's final months. These aren't just routine medical files, they're evidence of systematic elder abuse, medical neglect, and a conspiracy involving healthcare professionals who were paid to look the other way. The records show that your loved one was being medicated in ways that affected their mental clarity during crucial legal proceedings. They document unexplained injuries, sudden changes in mental state, and medical decisions that were made without proper consultation with family members who should have been involved. Hospital records reveal that the perpetrator had somehow gained medical power of attorney through questionable means. They were making healthcare decisions that isolated your loved one from other family members, controlled who could visit, and determined what medical information was shared with whom. The most shocking discovery is that certain medical professionals were being paid by the perpetrator to alter records, provide false testimony about your loved one's mental state, and even administer medications that would make them more susceptible to manipulation. These healthcare workers are now facing criminal charges for their participation in elder abuse. But the medical conspiracy goes even deeper than anyone imagined. The scale of the fraud, the amount of money involved, the interstate nature of some of the crimes, federal agencies are now involved. FBI financial crimes units are examining the evidence, forensic accountants are tracking money flows, and federal prosecutors are building a case. The perpetrator thought they were just stealing from family. They actually committed crimes against banks, insurance companies, and federal institutions. The mail fraud, wire fraud, and interstate financial crimes they committed while stealing your inheritance carry mandatory minimum sentences. Federal investigators don't mess around. They have unlimited resources, sophisticated investigative techniques, and a conviction rate that would terrify any criminal. The person who stole from you is about to discover they've attracted the attention of the most powerful law enforcement machine in the world. What started as a single inheritance theft investigation has now expanded into a multi-state task force operation. Agents in different states are coordinating their efforts, sharing intelligence, and building a comprehensive picture of criminal activity that spans decades. The federal case is about to uncover something even more shocking than the original theft. The investigation has revealed that stealing your inheritance was just the beginning. The perpetrator used your money to fund a massive criminal enterprise that includes real estate fraud, insurance scams, and tax evasion schemes spanning multiple states and involving dozens of victims. They created fake charities that collected donations from grieving families. They forged documents to steal other people's inheritances. They manipulated elderly victims across the country, using the same psychological tactics they used on your loved one. Your stolen inheritance was the seed money that funded a criminal empire that destroyed countless lives. The fake charity scheme alone defrauded hundreds of families out of millions of dollars. The perpetrator created websites, hired actors to pose as charity workers, and even organized fake fundraising events. They used your deceased loved one's name and reputation to legitimize their operations, dishonoring their memory while stealing from people who wanted to honor it. Real estate records show a pattern of targeting elderly property owners, befriending them, manipulating them into changing their wills, and then claiming their properties after their deaths. The perpetrator had perfected their system of elder abuse and inheritance theft, turning it into a profitable criminal enterprise. Insurance investigators have discovered fraudulent life insurance claims, fake accidental death benefits, and staged incidents designed to trigger payouts. The perpetrator didn't just steal existing money, they created situations where they could profit from other people's deaths. Federal prosecutors are now treating this as a RICO case, organized crime at the highest level. The person who targeted you is about to be charged as the head of a criminal organization that could result in life in prison. The most shocking revelation is still coming. The perpetrator's closest confidant, Someone who knew every detail of the criminal scheme, who helped plan the deception, who shared in the stolen wealth, has just turned state's evidence. Their spouse, business partner, or most trusted accomplice is now working with federal prosecutors to bring them down. This wasn't a sudden decision. The insider had been growing increasingly uncomfortable with the scope of the criminal enterprise for months. They watched as the schemes expanded beyond simple inheritance theft into organized crime territory. They saw innocent people being hurt, families being destroyed, and victims being manipulated in ways that made them sick. The turning point came when the insider realized that they were going to be used as a scapegoat if the operation was discovered. The perpetrator had been setting them up to take the fall, creating evidence that would make the insider look like the mastermind while positioning themselves as another victim. This insider knows where all the bodies are buried. They have access to hidden accounts, secret documents, and evidence that the perpetrator thought was safe. They know about victims in other states, criminal associates in different cities, and the full scope of the criminal enterprise that your stolen inheritance helped fund. Here's the most devastating part. The insider has been secretly cooperating with investigators for months, wearing recording devices, documenting conversations, and building an ironclad case from the inside. Every conversation they've had with the perpetrator since becoming a cooperating witness has been recorded and is now evidence in the federal case. One particularly damaging recording captures the perpetrator bragging about how easy it was to manipulate your family, laughing about your struggles while they lived off your stolen money, and making cruel jokes about your character. When the jury hears these recordings, they're going to understand the true nature of the person who destroyed your life. The betrayal by their most trusted ally is going to be the final blow that destroys any chance of escape. When the person who was supposed to protect their secrets becomes the star witness for the prosecution, there's no defense strategy that can overcome that level of exposure. The federal agents are coming, the arrest warrants have been signed, the indictments are sealed and ready. The person who destroyed your life is about to be taken away in handcuffs while news cameras capture every moment of their downfall. The arrest isn't going to be quiet or discreet. Federal agents are planning a coordinated raid that will happen simultaneously at multiple locations. The perpetrator's home, their office, their storage facilities, and their associates' properties are all going to be hit at the same time to prevent evidence from being destroyed. The media has been tipped off because this case has become a major news story. The scope of the criminal enterprise, the number of victims involved, and the sophisticated nature of the fraud has attracted national attention. News crews are going to be there to capture the moment when the person who seemed so respectable and trustworthy is revealed as a criminal mastermind. Their assets are being frozen as we speak. Their properties are being seized by federal marshals. Their bank accounts are being emptied and held as evidence. Everything they built with your stolen money is being confiscated and prepared for return to you and the other victims. The most beautiful part of their destruction is that it's happening in front of everyone who believed their lies about you. The family members who turned against you, the community that excluded you, the supporters who backed the wrong person, they're all about to witness the complete vindication of your character. The family members who believed the lies are going to watch their trusted relative get dragged away in handcuffs on the evening news. The community leaders who vouched for the perpetrator's character are going to have to explain how they were fooled by a criminal. The perp walk is going to be broadcast on local and national news. The person who worked so hard to destroy your reputation is going to have their own reputation annihilated in the most public way possible. Their name is going to become synonymous with elder abuse, inheritance fraud, and family betrayal. The person who painted you as the villain is about to be exposed as the real criminal in the most humiliating and public way possible. Standing in that federal courthouse, watching the person who stole your life get sentenced to decades in prison, you're going to experience a level of vindication that few people ever achieve. Every lie they told about you will be proven false. Every manipulation they used will be exposed. Every dollar they stole will be returned with interest. The courtroom is going to be packed with family members, community leaders, and media representatives who want to witness this moment of justice. The same people who once believed the lies about you are going to hear the truth spoken under oath by witness after witness. Your testimony is going to be the emotional centerpiece of the trial. When you take the stand and tell your story, how you were systematically isolated from your family, how you struggled while your inheritance was being stolen, how you maintained your character despite being portrayed as a villain, there won't be a dry eye in the courtroom. The prosecutor is going to walk the jury through every aspect of the deception, using evidence that proves the calculated nature of the crimes. They'll show the forged documents, play the recorded conversations, and present testimony from dozens of witnesses who saw the manipulation firsthand. When the guilty verdict is read, the perpetrator's world is going to collapse in real time. The family members who supported them are going to realize they were backing a criminal. The community leaders who vouched for their character are going to understand they were manipulated by a sociopath. But the most powerful moment is going to be when the judge delivers the sentence. As the perpetrator is led away in shackles to begin decades in federal prison, you're going to stand there as the vindicated victim who finally received justice. Your inheritance isn't just coming back, it's coming back with compound interest, legal damages, and additional assets seized from the criminal enterprise. The real estate empire they built with your money, the business interests they developed, the investment portfolios they managed, all of it is being transferred to you. The original inheritance has grown exponentially over the years. The properties they bought with your money have appreciated in value. The businesses they started with your funds have become profitable enterprises. The investments they made using your stolen wealth have multiplied beyond what anyone could have imagined. You're about to become wealthier than you ever dreamed possible. The money that was stolen from you has been growing and multiplying for years while you struggled. The person who thought they were stealing your future actually preserved and expanded it while serving as an unwitting financial manager. The wealth goes beyond just the original inheritance. The federal seizure of the criminal enterprise's assets is adding millions more to your settlement. Properties in multiple states, business interests in various industries, and investment accounts containing the profits from years of criminal activity, all of it is being liquidated and added to your compensation. The legal damages being awarded to you are substantial. The court is compensating you not just for the money that was stolen, but for the years of hardship you endured, the opportunities you missed, the relationships that were damaged, and the emotional distress you suffered. These damages could double or triple the amount you're receiving. There are also punitive damages designed to punish the perpetrator for the egregiousness of their crimes. The court wants to send a message that this kind of elaborate family fraud will result in consequences so severe that it will deter others from attempting similar crimes. But the most valuable thing you're gaining isn't money. It's the complete restoration of your reputation, your family relationships, and your rightful place in the world. You're not just getting wealthy, you're getting your life back with interest. The universe has been orchestrating this moment of justice for years, chosen one. Every struggle you endured, every moment of being misunderstood, every hardship you faced, it was all preparing you for this ultimate vindication. You maintained your character when everyone believed lies about you. You stayed true to your values when the world turned against you. You trusted in justice when all evidence suggested there was none to be found. Your faith in truth and righteousness is about to be rewarded in ways that will shock everyone who doubted you. The person who tried to destroy you has actually become the instrument of your greatest triumph. Future generations of your family will tell this story as the ultimate example of how truth always prevails over deception. Your vindication will become legendary, the moment when justice struck down the wicked and elevated the righteous. The criminal who targeted you is going to serve as a warning to anyone who thinks they can steal from a chosen one. Your case will be studied, referenced, and remembered as proof that the universe doesn't tolerate the destruction of innocent people. Your moment of complete victory is here, and it's going to be absolutely spectacular.